Welcome to the Chronicles of a Christian Drama Queen podcast. I am your host and the original Christian Drama Queen, Lisa Ann Schaefer, and I am glad you are here. I can promise you that I know what it's like to think like a lover of Jesus, but live like a hot mess every day. So if you can relate, you're in the right place. Everything from the craziness of homeschooling my kids to overcoming deep wounds of abandonment and abuse. I want you to stay with me, sister. I have walked down those paths, and I've got decades of healing and hope that God's called me to share. Here we go. So glad you guys are here. I hope you guys realize that this is the real me. I am not anything fancy. I am not anything showy. I am very rarely sounding professional. I do have that FM radio voice going though sometimes. That's kind of tricky, kind of fun. So I want to share with you guys today. I have titled today's podcast, Christian Drama Queens Feel Unworthy. Now listen, I think you might be surprised about where this particular podcast is going. I'm going to try to squeeze it into 15 minutes or less. It is coming straight out of my Bible study, Discarded. I will show a picture of it to those of you watching video. Here it is. Discarded, which is a daughter's journey to reclaim freedom and forgive the father who left her behind, although the book is tailored toward my experience as a discarded daughter. And it is also tailored toward other women who have struggled with abuse or abandonment. Let me encourage you to not consider it just for daughters. It actually, the steps that I go through in it, I suppose someday I'll probably edit it and change the edition and, give it a different title so people won't think it's just for women who have been discarded daughters. The steps to forgiveness and freedom in it are applicable to everybody. So if you want to find it, you can certainly go to Amazon and look up Discarded Lisa, and you'll find it. I'll be probably the first one to pop up. But you can also just get it right from me. Just send me an email to lisa@christiandramaqueen.com, lisa@christiandramaqueen.com, and I will make arrangements with you to get it to you that way. So I actually get paid if you do it through my email instead of using Amazon. Amazon doesn't pay very much. Once they take their cut, man, that's pretty much, that's kind of most of it. So anyway, I want to warn you for just a moment before we get started today. I want to warn you about false humility. I know we're supposed to be humble and practice humility and, quote, not think more highly of ourselves than we ought, like it says in Romans 12. But I think sometimes Christians say and act in a way that actually makes them appear more humble than they really are. Let's be honest. So before we forge ahead, I really just want you to be extremely honest about the following questions and about the study today that I'm going to be sharing with you. Just answer with as much authenticity as you can as we go through, okay? Because God already knows your heart anyway. I mean, you're not going to hide anything from him, right? So what makes you worthy in the sight of God? Do you commonly compare your life to the lives of others? Can you think of a time or document a time when you limited your own future because you thought you didn't deserve better or you didn't deserve any different? Have you ever lied or exaggerated in order to appear more important or garner more attention? Think of a time when you exhibited these kinds of behaviors and what the outcome was of those. Scripture has really provided a resounding no to the question whether we truly were unloved or unwanted as discarded daughters or as people who've been mistreated, abused, or whatever. But what about this question of whether or not we are unworthy? So what does it mean to be unworthy anyway? Well, if you Google that, it means having or showing the qualities or abilities that merit recognition in a specific way, deserving effort, attention, or respect, good enough, or suitable. I want you to turn to Luke 15 with me for just a second, okay? We all know this story, right? Everybody knows this story. It is the parable of the lost son, right? So in Luke chapter 15:11, Jesus is talking and says there was this man who had two sons, and the younger one said to his father, "Hey, give me my share of the estate." So he divided his property between them. There's no conversation there. You realize it just is no talking about it. It's not like the father just goes, "Hey, now wait a minute, let's talk about this." He doesn't do that. So the son says, "Give me my portion of my estate, of the estate," and the father divides it up. And not long after that, the youngest son got together all that he had, and he set off for a distant country, and he squandered all of his wealth in wild living. And after he spent everything, there was a severe famine in the whole country, and he began to be in need. He went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country who sent him to feed the pigs. He longed to fill his own stomach. He was starving. And he ate what the pigs were eating. And when he came to his senses, he said, "How many of my father's hired servants are doing better than I am? They're eating better than I am." Right? I'll just go home. I'll just go home and I'll talk to my father and I'll just tell him, "Man, I'm sorry. I was wrong." He went to his father. He said, "I've sinned against heaven and against you, and I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Just make me like a servant. That'll be good enough for me. I really messed things up. Just make me a servant." So he gets close to home, and while he's far away, a long way off, his father sees him, and he's filled with compassion. And he runs to his son, and he throws his arms around him, and he kisses him. And the son said to him, "Father, I've sinned against heaven and against you, and I am no longer worthy to be called your son." But the father said to his servants, "Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him, put a ring on his finger, sandals on his feet, bring the fattened calf. We're going to kill it. We're having a party. Time to feast. Time to celebrate." Now, did the father ever say anything to this son about deserving this big welcoming party? Over the years, I have observed many discarded daughters like me who allow deceptive thoughts and fears to determine our character and our personality. In my case, I believed I was unwanted and unloved and undeserving, so forth and so on. And that basically led me to become extremely needy. I was self-deprecating, and later on, I became promiscuous. I wasn't worth anything worth waiting for in my mind. And I developed this pattern very, very early on, clear back in 1970 when I was just a kindergartner. The teacher had asked us all to talk about our summer. And honestly, I really had spent the entire summer in daycare because my mother was a working mom and she was the one doing all the work and taking care of us. There was no dad around. Several of the kids in my class, my kindergarten class, that first week of school, piped up with their amazing summer adventures. And some of them went to the lake and went swimming without a life vest for the first time. And some of them spent the summer with their uncles and their aunts in the mountains. And some went to local amusement parks. And I don't have a clue what possessed me to say it, but I just blurted out, "My mom took us to Disneyland," which was just a great big fat lie. And I decided at the tender age of 5, I would become, let's just call me a story enhancer, or what I typically would refer to now as a liar, because no matter the sad story that you told, mine would be sadder. And no matter how frightening your experiences were, mine would be worse. And the goal was to manufacture a better story so people would like me more or have more sympathy for me, since, I wanted them to see me as the greater victim. And it became a terrible and sinful personality flaw. And I was timid and shy so much of the time when I was little. So it was really crazy that when I finally decided to participate in conversation, it was with the sole intent of becoming the most pathetic, most popular, most spoiled sounding person in the room. It wasn't until my mid-30s that the Lord really got a hold of me, and he just made me face the truth of my deceptive behavior. And he was just showing me that the enemy of my soul is called the deceiver, and each lie I told was just placing me right in his hands. That's just the beginning of my character flaws. They go on. Believe me, I'll share those with you later on. But let's talk about this feeling of unworthiness. Why did I need to be the worst victim? Why did I need to be seen as the greater victim or having the greater issues. Look at Romans 3:10-19. I know it's quite a passage. I'm going to try and go quickly here because there's a few things I want to list here. I'm getting ready to do a retreat with a handful of women. Just real shortly, we're going to spend just 24 hours going quickly through my study, my Bible study. And in it, we talk about everything from feeling unwanted and unloved, going all the way to the point of feeling unprotected and uncherished and unworthy. And we finally get to the place where we realize we can be grateful for a really ugly past. And we can find a way not only to be forgiven for our choices, but to forgive others. So that's coming up this weekend. If you have a chance to pray about it, I'd appreciate that. But let's read Romans 3:10-19. And I'm going to go really fast, okay? Because that's the way I read. I read really fast. So it says here, as it is written, there is no one righteous, not even one. There's no one who understands. There's no one who seeks God. All have turned away. They have together become worthless. There's no one who does good, not even one. Their throats are open graves. Their tongues practice deceit. The poison of vipers is on their lips. Their mouths are full of cursing and bitterness. Their feet are swift to shed blood. Ruin and misery mark their ways, and the way of peace they do not know. There's no fear of God before their eyes. Now, we know that whatever the law says, it says to those who are under the law, so that every mouth may be silenced and the whole world held accountable to God. And then drop down to 21. But now, apart from the law, the righteousness of God has been made known, to which the law and the prophets testify. And here it is, verse 22. This righteousness is given through faith in Jesus Christ to all who believe. Now listen, go back up there to that long list of truths. No one's righteous, not one. There's no one who understands or seeks God. So the question about being unworthy, guess what? Was I really unworthy? Are we really unworthy? Yeah, that's the truth. The truth is, yes, we're all unworthy according to Romans 3. It paints a bleak picture, but listen, read on. Because in Romans 3:22, it says, we are made what? We're made righteous. Through what? Faith. And all we have to do is what? Yeah, believe. That's going to pretty much do it for me today, guys. Thanks for joining me today for the Chronicles of a Christian Drama Queen. Don't forget to find me. Oh, man, I'm all over the place, you guys. Check out YouTube channel at Christian Drama Queen, and also find my website at christiandramaqueen.com, where you'll get access to my blog and transcripts from all my podcasts. Get to know me a little bit better, even make arrangements to either purchase my Bible study called Discarded, which you can also find on Amazon. Maybe you can just connect with me and we can, show up and do coffee. Who knows? Thanks for joining me today, guys. And I love you.